We've already started our isometric framing model. It was automatically generated when we ran the wall framing toolset. But we still have some work to do to edit that and fix it up. On my sample, I know that I need to edit some of the walls. I also had a problem when I ran the roof framer, and I'll need to edit some of the rafter boards to make those match. But this is what a framing model is going to look like when it's all finished up. Now we'll be copying and pasting the concrete slab in. We'll be adding columns if you don't already have those in to hold up your covered porch. And then something that's on this one as well are these beams right here that we'll need to add in to hold up any rafters on the building. So right here, these rafters can't just be floating out here in space. We'll need to add in some beams for those, and I'm going to show you how to do that and fix these things up. So let's go to the one that I'm working on now, and I'll show you how to get started on yours. Right now, I've run the wall framer, and this is probably what yours looks like now as well. It has most of the 2x4 walls done. Like I said, there's a couple of problems on my drawings that I'll need to fix up. It's all right that I created this viewport already. Once I do some work in the design layer and go back to this viewport, it'll automatically update. So I'm just going to go to my house layer, and just to make it easier for you to see, I'm temporarily going to apply just a blank background so you can see this. And there you see my wall framing. Now, like I said, there's a couple of things with the walls that I need to fix up. It automatically framed in some beams where I have these trapezoid windows, but I don't need those in there. So I'm just going to go ahead and edit those out for right now. For that stud, I normally would split that off using the split tool, but just to speed things up a little bit, I'm just going to delete those for right now. Now I have my wall framing model in here. What I want to do next is go back to the frame layer, and I'm going to go ahead and just make a copy of my concrete slab and the column that I have here. If you didn't draw in any columns yet, this is just a 4-inch by 4-inch post that I'm just going to edit copy, paste in place, and now I'm just going to move those two shapes over to my house design layer. Now when I go back to the house layer, my concrete slab and my column are there. But what I don't have are the beams in to hold these walls in up here. So I'm going to go ahead and add those in next. All I'm going to do is draw in a couple of rectangles where I need those to be. I'm going to make them the same size as my walls. And I'm going to make those a nice bright color for now so you can see that better. So I drew that rectangle in right where I need it. I'm just going to extrude that 6 inches. And I'm going to put the bottom Z of that, bottom Z, at 7 feet 6 inches, so that the top of it matches up with the top of my 8-foot walls. I'm going to have one more of those over here to hold up this wall. Again, the bottom Z at 7 feet 6 because it's a 6-inch beam. And there are the beams that are going to hold up those walls and the column in place. Now, like I've said, I know that there was a little problem with my roof framing in here before. So I'm going to show you what I need to do to fix this up. Everybody will run into some little problems. If you run into problems with your roof framing, please let me know. I can show you some easy ways to fix some of that stuff up. But what I'm going to do now is just go to my roof layer, and I'm going to run the framing, automatic framer, on both these roof faces. So I'm going to use AEC framing roof framer. And what we want to do for this project is we want to have rafters turned on, and we're going to make those 2x6s, which is this 1.5 by 5.5. We're going to make sure that we have the top of roof object selected. We're also going to use ridges. Again, we'll put the check mark next to create ridges, 2x6s, flush to the top of the rafters. And we are also going to do hips and valleys. So we'll make sure the check mark's turned on. Again, 2x6s, top of roof objects, components. When I click OK, it'll frame my roof. But like I said, I already know that there's a problem with this one that I'm going to need to edit and fix up some of the rafters. But I'm going to hit OK. And hopefully yours will frame a little better than what mine did here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the right view. And for some reason, you can see that it made my rafters much too long. So now I'm going to switch to the front view, and I'm going to fix those rafters up. Here's how I'm going to do that. I'm going to take one of these rafters and align it with my roof face right where it needs to go. At the other end, I'm just going to draw a line. I'm going to select that rafter and just split it. Now, I think if you have a monitor roof, many of you may run into the same problem. Now I'm going to delete that section I split off, and I'm going to delete every rafter behind it. Now I've got one rafter there that I can use, and all I'm going to do is duplicate array that 16 inches apart. So I've set this up for a linear array. I'm just going to make 15. I can make 20 copies. I'll delete any extras that I don't need. And on the y-axis, I want to repeat that 16 inches apart, 1 foot 4 inches. And it looks like I should have done maybe one more copy than that. So I'm going to go back here and do my duplicate array again. And I'll just put in 20 copies. And you can see I've got a couple of extra ones. I'll delete those and just put this one back right where I need it to be here. And now that roof framing is fixed up. Now let's fix up these other ones. I'm going to put that one right where I need it. Again, I just draw a line. I'll use the line split tool with that rafter selected. And I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm going to run a bunch of copies of that using duplicate array. There we go. Now I'm getting rid of every rafter here, except for these last ones. And as long as I can fit this right in there, I'm going to do that. It's okay to have the gap smaller than 16 inches, just not larger than 16 inches. There we go. Now all I'm going to do is take all of my framing. I don't want to copy the roof faces, so I'm going to try to uncheck those. I have just my framing board selected now, and I'm going to move those all to my 2D diagram, or my house, my isometric rendering. And there they are. Yeah, it looks like that's all in there. Now all I'm going to do is take everything except for my concrete slab. That'll obviously have a concrete texture on it. And I'm going to give those a wood texture. There's a pine board that I usually like to use. I'm going to try that one that I had selected here. And it looks like I do have some extras in my framing that I will eventually get rid of. But that's how we start to produce the isometric framing model for your tiny house. That's what this will look like. And actually, I am going to leave those on. They're for the 1 foot overhang, those boards. That's what the framing plane, the framing model is going to look like. When it's all said and done.